The new Rivals 150 for the class of 2024 released this week, and we're joined by Rob Cassidy to talk about it. Rob, shakeup at the top of the rankings as Trey Johnson takes over the number one spot. What was it about Trey that helped him move up and take it over?
It's we've always been really high on him. He's been a top five kid for the entirety of this ranking cycle, and it's just kind of the skill at his young age. The guy that we had in front of him, Ian Jackson's a very good player. He was one for a while, kind of based on his athleticism and his upside. But as far as production and development goes, we thought Trey was a little bit ahead of him, so we went ahead and made the switch. It's still pretty close with those top three or four right now, so I wouldn't get too comfortable there if I were Trey. But he's earned it through the summer and through the spring. He just looked like clearly the most skilled prospect in the class and the best blend of upside and production.
And Texas fans seem to be pretty excited about it. Do we think that they're the school to beat right now?
Yeah, I think that they're definitely one of them. They're in there. The Texas schools are going to be involved. I think the Blue Bloods will be involved to an extent as well. They'd have to watch out for, a late move by Kentucky or something like that. But I'd feel pretty good if I was Texas about where I sat with him. I think that he likes the Longhorns. I think the idea of staying in state is appealing to him. So I think they'll be in it until the end.
Yeah, so you mentioned Ian Jackson dropped from 1 to 3. Of course, people were angry. Now, why do we think he's terrible?
It's yeah, the number 3 player in the country is a real insult to Ian, I
think. But talk about, I mean, you've mentioned it's so close, it's kind of splitting hairs at the top. Obviously, you still really like his game, right?
Yeah, I think he's one of the more athletic players in this class with maybe the highest upside in this class. He's a guy that's going to produce highlight reel dunks. He's a guy that's going to have that motor and defend multiple positions. Never seems to get tired on the floor. The upside is definitely there. Just from a skill and polish perspective, we think he's a little bit behind Trey as things stand now. And when I say a little, I really do mean a little. This is something that could flip back, and our new number 2, Flory Badunga, could also see himself at 1. I think between those three, there's not a lot of space separating them.
Yeah, so let's talk about Flory. He moves up 4 spots to number 2 overall. A lot of people were pretty happy about that on social media. Seems like he has a little bit of a cult following as he continues to climb up these rankings.
He is defensively the best player in this class, and bar none, the best big, I think. His offensive game is a lot of dunks, a lot of finishes. He finishes really well at the rim. Right now, I think I would have made him 1 if he could shoot the ball a little bit better. That's the next thing for him, is showing that he can score, outside of the paint. He doesn't need to become a prolific three-point shooter by any range, but if he can become serviceable in the mid-range and maybe even from the perimeter, that adds a giant element to his game, as right now, he's all block shots, dunks, finishing around the rim, has a multitude of post moves. Just kind of needs some polish on shooting, and then I think he's in play for that 1 spot.
Yeah, one thing that's kind of tough to remember at this point, especially these guys are, essentially just started their junior year of high school, and we're trying to project forward. You have to think about how much stuff they're going to add to their game. Does that make your job a little harder, especially when, like I said, you're trying to pick between 3 or 4 guys that could all have a case of number 1?
A lot harder, especially when you're dealing with big guys like Badunga, where it's like, okay, what is he right now? He's a dominant, inside presence, but what if he learns to shoot? And he's definitely trying to. And I think one of the most encouraging things about him is that he's not afraid to shoot it. Now, does it look good right now? Is it consistent? No, but you can tell it's something that he's working towards. And if that starts clicking, then what? Then you look pretty good for having him number 2. So we're kind of banking on long-term projection, as you said, and that's part of it.
All right, another guy that made a pretty good jump up the rankings to number 6 overall, Asa Newell. 13 spots is a big move. What did you see from him this summer that helped that move up?
We've always loved him. We've had him higher than everybody. We ranked him, this time last year, I think he was part of this. He comes from kind of a little small high school in the panhandle of Florida. He's since transferred, obviously, to a more powerful high school where people will see him. But, they don't, kids that can shoot like him and are that long and as athletic as him, and also makes really wise decisions with the basketball. The polish is starting to get there. So he's another mix of kind of long-term potential and current polish that we like. He's one that, I think is probably in the mix to break into the top 5 down the road as he starts playing better competition this year at Montverde. It's going to be interesting to kind of see him make that step from his small high school in the panhandle to where he is now.
Yeah, the guy that kind of rocketed up, Carter Bryant, moving up 18 spots. He's now number 8 overall. He seems to have a lot of momentum both on the court and on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, Travis, my man Travis Graff, who's the other national recruiting analyst here at Rivals, was kind of the driving force behind him. I was kind of stunned to see he wasn't invited to USA Basketball when that roster came out today. I thought for sure he'd be a lock there. You know, he had such a great summer. I think he's one of the top guards in this class, and I think that there aren't a lot of people that watch that would disagree with me on that stance. So the big shock today was when they released that USA Basketball roster and he was not on it. I thought he would be an invite to minicamp for sure. Just missed the cut, but I think that gives him, something to prove this year, and I think people will take note of kind of his skill set going forward.
Hey, they better be careful because I was watching Eurobasket and it was a lot of former U.S. players. Uh, you know, when I saw Zoe Brown from my gym being Spain's best player, and I know he's not from Spain.
It's
Uh,
it's how do they work that? Is it like your nationality? Like I haven't looked into that, or is it you got to be like once removed or something, like the World Baseball Classic or the World Cup?
Well, so Tyler Dorsey was on the Greek team. His one of his great grandmothers or something was Greek, so he got in that way. But from what I heard with Zoe, he naturalized. So once you have a one-time switch, just like soccer. So, like I said, you better leave someone off the roster with that, at your own risk because they can always switch sides and go be playing for another country.
No, Becky Hammond did this, right?
Oh, did she? I didn't know she
Yeah,
was.
she played for Russia in one of these things when she was a player.
Oh, that's right, because she was playing professionally over there. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing, they're living over there. All right, back to the action, wrapping up the top 10, a guy that I had a chance to see play with you, Dylan Harper. Of course, his dad is, Ron Harper, the former NBA guard. Kind of, what's interesting about him that I found is that I didn't realize how many plays he made until I was labeling the video after. He kinda has a cool confidence about him, and he almost, he's not gonna make a ton of wow plays, but he seems to always be making the right play at the right time.
No, he's one of those guys that, he does have games where he will pop off the page and score 30 and absolutely dominate a game from a scoring standpoint. But the thing that I like most about him is that he's able to kind of dictate a game and impact a game even when he's not doing that. He doesn't throw the ball away a ton. He's creative in the backcourt. He can play either guard spot. He's got a solid enough body to finish through contact. He does so many things. He's not, like you said, he's not going to blow you away with one aspect of his game where it's like this is his calling card. Whereas he just does 20 things pretty darn well, and it's hard to find a weak spot. And that's kind of what put him in the top 10. His recruitment's going to be interesting though, because Rutgers is pretty confident there, and I understand why. They made a star out of his brother. He thrived there, but there's blue bloods now, and it's tough if you're Rutgers to hold off. These North Carolinas and Dukes and the like that have kind of come knocking.
Yeah, it's weird how some of these schools almost get punished for recruiting the older brother and and doing a good job of evaluating because then the younger one's gonna get poached.
Yeah, and Rutgers has a shot here. I think he really does like that staff. He's been on campus there. Obviously, he enjoys kind of the bond there, and I think the familiarity factor. So I wouldn't rule them out by any chance, but it is definitely going to be an uphill fight.
All right, so be sure to check out rivalshoops.com. You can see the updated rankings. You can get more of Rob's thoughts, and it's going to be a lot of changes. I feel like we're going to be, we got reclassifications, we got moves, we got transfers. So it's going to be
Yeah,
a
if you want to come on Twitter and find me and accuse me of some bias, that's what's happening today. I've been called a Nike shill, an East Coast shill, shilling for Adidas and the state of Texas that I have no ties to. So if you got one, come at me with it. It's always nice to see a new accusation.
Yeah, if you want to hit me up for evidence, Rob does wear Nikes. I've seen him do it. He did live in Texas. He left that part out. So
9 months in Dallas, don't
yeah. So if you want evidence, come to me. I got the receipts. So all right, Rob, thanks a lot.
appreciate you, Woody.